Hang on, I went live and didn't get the thing up. So if you want to come up, there's the link. It's pinned. I'm glad to see you're back. And we hope everything went well. Oh, there you are. Give me a second, Mac Daddy. There you go. I won't be able to hear you, so give me a second. All right, now I can hear you.
My brother Larry.
How you doing, Julianne? Hey, Bruce. Glad to see you guys made it.
Everything went so well, you could only begin to understand. It was hell for a day or two.
Yeah, I was going to call you today earlier, but a friend of mine was running around helping her and her mom and stuff, and
they had a lot of cornea fragments in my eye that played hell for my eye for a day or two till they all kind of worked their way out.
All right, I'm glad to hear that.
So it was like eye boogies.
Yeah, wasn't quite as successful as the first one, but it was still very successful.
Actually, it's just as good as the first one, really. I mean, this eye's never been as good as the other one.
Okay.
And at this point, it's as good as it's ever been.
Yeah. Julianne, I'm doing quite well. It's as you know, I'm in the States, so it's evening here. So I hope you're having a good morning. Julianne's unless she's moved already, she's in Hong Kong. And she's got her name Martin spelled the way it is because she does a lot of art videos as well. She's a painter. She does some walking around. Julianne, if you just type in LLL, we got Retro in the building. But if you just type in
Retro,
my Nightbot will drop your link for you. You don't have to do anything else but just 3 L's. And there you go, Bruce. Show her how it's done. Now you can type after it. Just don't type before it. If you want to type something after it, I guess it works still, not before it. And so you can let people know how to get a hold of your channel. And if you want to come up and talk, you're more than welcome to come up. Julianne is a Filipina living in, like I said, Hong Kong, although she's getting ready to go somewhere else. I don't know where it is yet. I check out her channel every so often. I like her art. She does a lot of landscape art, not people. And but she does quite well. Rachel, how you been, man? Been a while since you've been here.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Bruce coming up.
Sorry, guys. I've been busy.
Hey, Bruce, welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
Cheers,
not much,
Bruce.
man.
Got my eyesight back, Retro.
Well done.
I've been under the knife twice in the last month.
Mac Daddy, I'm very happy, man. Congratulations.
You have no idea what it is like to be totally blind and then get it back.
Yeah. Well, matter of fact, Bruce, they were telling him it would take almost 3 months for the eyes to heal up. And their surgery went so well, it didn't take that long.
Wow.
Well, they're still healing, but
but they were talking.
I mean, for the eyesight thing, I could see when I was leaving the operating room.
They were talking about swelling being at least a couple of weeks before the swelling would go down.
Well, the swelling was bad the other day with all that particulate.
Yeah, but that's
from my cornea lost in my eye.
Didn't do that.
But I kept flushing it out.
Hey, Robert,
and it works out like eye dirt, like when you clean your eye out and you wake up.
Yeah.
And it was like little clear pieces of rubber from my cornea that they trashed. And then they stuffed the new lens in there. And oh my God, this lady doctor knows her stuff. She did a wonderful job.
That's good. I'm glad you got them both done before you went to Coca-Cola. I see that.
Yeah, my mother's friend. Now, Leslie and Mr. Mac Daddy and also Bruce. By the way, Bruce.
In case you didn't know, Bruce, Retro likes retro stuff. The old stuff.
Hi, Bruce. I know Retro, yeah. But,
you know Retro, okay.
My ma actually works at this U-Haul place. where they do body work on U-Haul trucks, and also they also clear out old trucks and not on cleared out of their stuff. And what they do is they put the stuff in the U-Haul trucks in a little bin, like lost and found stitch. And if no one claims it within a certain amount of time, it goes into like a U-Haul dumpster or something. But it's up for grabs. My mom's coworker named Jay found this in one of the dumpsters.
I live where
That looks
U-Haul.
like it's in good shape too.
I used to live where U-Haul came from, Willow Grove, Pennsylvania.
Really, brother? That's cool.
The
Yeah,
original U-Haul.
Oh yeah, and Lazy Lily, I do apologize for not being on your panel enough, buddy.
Well, that's all right, man. I mean, people are
I've
busy.
been super busy. Like, I got something planned in October, but you guys are in. Well, I think I've told Mac Daddy and Larry Lee about it, like Retroween. Like,
Go ahead and tell everybody else. Go ahead.
Yeah, come October, we have a special segment for the whole month called Retroween.
Yeah. I gotta pop off. I got the hotel people here.
Okay,
All right.
Bruce.
You can come back up later.
But yeah, I've got a special segment for Halloween coming up called Retroween.
Well, Retro, you be styling these days. You let your freak flag fly.
What?
You let your freak flag fly. You got that long hair thing going. You look like Gallagher.
Oh, dude, I'll be getting it cut. I'll be getting it cut next weekend, because my chat had asked me to get a special haircut regarding a video game character named Leon Kennedy, the Resident Evil character. He's got that like shaved sides and the top going over, 90s style haircut. They want me to get that haircut because actually in one of the games, Leon has a coat with a fur collar. I have one of those and fingerless gloves. So they want me to do this for Retroween, is to cosplay as Leon Kennedy. But that's not all. What else I have going on? I also have July. We are doing a Christmas in July bit. And my mother just, also in a U-Haul stitch, found an ugly Christmas sweater, one with shoulder pads in it. It is a 1999 ugly sweater.
That is ugly.
Oh yeah, and it says right here on the tag where the date it was made, 1999, right on the tag. And the funny thing I realize about stuff from the 90s, the 80s, and sometimes the 70s is the shoulder pads.
Oh yeah, shoulder pads were big for a while.
Yeah, I know.
You could buy a jacket with these shoulder pads and make your shoulders look like they were square.
Yeah,
I
get that
couldn't
shape.
understand that, and I really didn't care for that look.
And Mr. Lazy Lion Mac Day, me and my mom checked out a new thrift store that just opened in our town. Check it out. I don't know if you can see it, but it says,
Who's your daddy? Who's your Patty?
Who's your Patty?
Yeah, for
St.
Patrick's Day.
Yeah, my mom and I were initially looking for Halloween-based shirts for Retroween this year, or even a Halloween mug. We couldn't find it, but Mom stumbled upon this and poked me on the shoulder. She's like, Zach, what do you think of this? I read it, and that was my find there.
Yeah.
Also, no, I think I've heard Mac Day mention the brand Guess before, or someone did. I got a Guess branded fanny pack. It's by Guess, which is a very expensive brand. So it's always a privilege to get this stuff, because this was another U-Haul find.
I like the Guess jackets. Remember those?
Oh yeah,
The Guess denim jackets. I wish they'd bring them back.
Oh, dude, I've seen plenty of people wearing them. Yeah, this is. I'll even put it close to the camera. It's actually a Guess branded fanny pack. Now, I don't know about you guys. I've never seen a fanny pack this big before.
Well, that's when you had Bootius Maximus.
Don't talk about me that way.
Oh my god. I'm going to tell you, Larry and Mac, that we just had a special Cereal Bowl chat last night. The Cereal Bowl chat was supposed to be today, but when I found out that my mother was coming today, I had to reschedule it for last night. But last night's Cereal Bowl chat was a special tribute to the Blues Clues franchise. So I chose this cereal, blueberry muffin cereal, to kind of pay tribute to Blues Clues. And I wore my green flannel to pay tribute to the one and only Steve from Blues Clues.
What? Do you know what they use for micro blueberries and all them little teeny blueberry muffins?
What?
Purple carrots.
I figured.
They dice them up into little tiny cubes and put them in, and you think they're blueberries, but they're really carrots.
Well, it's good for you. At least I know I'm getting my
But they
eyesight.
couldn't get a blueberry that small, so they're tricking you.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, it
I
is
was-
good, but I was always wondering how they get a blueberry that small, and then I read the label. Purple carrots.
And dude, this was good because it's blue. And the
Well, I remember. Do you remember the Count Chocula cereal when they used to have Boo-Berry?
Yeah, Blueberry, yeah. I've been trying to find like a t-shirt of that or something for dirt cheap. Or at least a cup of some kind for that. Because all my fans on my retro database are like, yo, you gotta get something Count Chocula or Frankie Bear or Blueberry. And I'm like, dudes, I've been trying. Funding's not doing
Retro, you're always looking for retro, and I am looking for one retro item that I cannot find at a discount. Remember you know what hickory is? Hickory denim?
Hickory denim, yeah.
Find me a hickory denim Lee mechanics hat. They're selling them for like $50 to $90 online.
Oh my god.
I couldn't believe it.
A little
I can get like an engineer's hat, but they're all baggy. I want the old-fashioned hickory denim hat that fit your head real tight, kind of like a welding hat. Had the little brim on the front of it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I've got a leather cap, like hat thing. It looks like a military hat. I had bought that at a thrift store before my family moved out of the town they were staying in because they got evicted. But mom's doing well. Everyone's in a good place. So, but yeah, I also.
I got a pair of retro pennies for sale.
Nah, I don't collect coins.
I got 2 pennies from 1837.
Yeah,
before we had electric or light bulbs. Passenger rail service is only 7 years old. Slavery was still legal.
I have my I had this for lunch, a Happy Meal for lunch today. It's funny because I just heard last night on a commercial about Inside Out coming out as a second one. And funny enough, I feel sad because the character I got was Sadness. I was really hoping to get another one that would fit my personality, but nope, got Sadness. And what you do with this is you put discs in here, you flick it backwards and flick, and it shoots them out. I don't get the point of that, but Now, Lazy Larry and Mac Daddy, what was I going to tell you? Also on Retroween, I'll be doing a bunch of retro Halloween-based games. And we are doing a themed podcast on one of the days of Retroween, which is one of the 31 days in October, is a Clue, like the board game Clue, themed podcast. I've even got an intro for it, so.
Sounds like it might be fun.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm actually quite interested in what you was just about to comment.
No, I was going to say I bought Junior a new toy this week.
Oh, what's that toy?
I bought him a 50-inch ZTR ride-on lawnmower.
Nice.
He's having a blast.
Yeah.
Is he cutting
More
other
like
people's
you.
grass?
More,
Making some money?
Oh, yeah.
More like he'll be saying, "Got a blast," like Jimmy Neutron. I missed you guys. I ain't gonna lie.
I was looking for it. I said, Larry, where's Retro? I wanted to do my retro.
Well, just like Jack hadn't been here for a while either.
Oh, I did want to show you guys something because I on eBay bought a couple of emulation controllers. God, one of them is a PS2 controller. The other one I have right here. I use this for N64, but it's not an N64 controller. All I really have to do is map out the buttons. But I got a GameCube controller, but it's not an actual GameCube controller. It's for emulation. It's USB PC controller. And I use it for emulating any game console system that has like the A or B button or anything like that. I use this controller for, but the PS2 controller, which is also a PS1 controller for emulation, I use that to emulate my PS1 games. So
Junior rebuilds a lot of them. Because when the gamers use them real heavy, the buttons go and they start to drift. And he puts a new button, guts in there.
Oh yeah.
I got a question. Jerry, you still out there? How come you haven't come up yet?
Who?
May not be outside. I tell you, it's awful. It's been an awful nice day here.
We got to get Jerry some Polish chickens.
Oh, funny.
The fancy ones.
Funny. We had chicken nuggies with our.
Well, Jerry raises chickens.
Oh, I know. I knew what you meant.
But
some of the Polish ones look like they have a hairdo and they got like little boots on and all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah. Now, today only got in the lower 70s today for a high. Been overcast.
Nice. It's going to be hot as hell next week.
It's start warming back up around here on Wednesday.
Today it rained.
Chance of rain each day up until Wednesday.
I'm going to take my car for the first ride in months tomorrow.
Yeah, and it rained here today.
It rained last night.
Hardcore here. No thunder, no lightning, but it did pour, downpour.
It poured here yesterday afternoon after I got home from work.
Oh, yeah. So
it rained in the morning before I went to work. Rained while I was at work, but not real hard. And then when I got home, a little after I got home, it poured for a little bit. Same thing on Thursday. It rained quite a bit. Hey, Mike, how you doing, man?
Hey,
Mike, married to a beautiful woman's here.
Hey, Mike, what's going on, brother? Mike.
Like I said, it rained last night overnight, but it's been mostly just overcast after that, and the sun did come out a little bit.
Larry, I realized one day just how frugal I am when it comes to getting free stuff or even a deal, because I found a magnet on the ground in a parking lot, and it's a Wounded Warriors magnet.
Yeah,
I have that on my fridge. Because my dad was never wounded in the war or anything, but he was in the Air Force, so I kind of passive aggressively supporting him with that.
Well, I'm former Navy. I know Mike was in the military, but I'm not sure which branch. He's from Canada.
But I got a question for you guys. A little test for you. Can either one of you name the 2 reasons why I have a Q on my fridge, and there are retro-related reasons?
QAnon?
No.
Q from
Hubert?
No. Q from
You both just said each one of you just now just said the 2 reasons. You said Cubert, that was one, and you said Q from Star Trek. Wow, that was quick. But yeah, I have another passive reason why I have this on my fridge. It's also to give tribute, little shout out to Q from Impractical Jokers.
I have never watched Practical Jokers. So I have no clue who that is.
I watched a documentary today that was kind of cool.
What was that?
It was a documentary on the flood of Johnstown, how they built this dam up that should have never been built up, and then it failed and like killed over 2,000 people.
That was back in the
Jesus.
early 1900s, wasn't it? Or was
Late-
that 1800s?
Late 1800s, like middle 1800s, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yep.
remember reading about that. Now, I didn't see the documentary, but I remember that was I think that was mentioned in a book I read one time.
Well, the members of the country club were like Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie from Carnegie Steel, which eventually became Bethlehem Steel.
Yeah.
They were all extremely wealthy people at this country club, and they got away with murder, basically.
Yeah.
And you're right. You're right, Magda. I do have a long hair thing going.
Oh, I had my hair going for months, and I wasn't going to get it cut till I got my eyesight back. So
Oh, I'm also growing a beard. You can't really tell because I have a light shaded beard. My mom's side has a little bit of blonde in her family, so
Oh, wait.
because there's a light on, you can't.
Light color beard? Try white.
Oh no, I have a blonde.
Oh, mine was, believe it or not, my beard was red, a dark red.
Oh no, I remember you.
And now
saying
it's
that.
white. Now, the only thing, if I grow my whole beard, I look like Santa Claus. And the only thing with any color in my beard at all is the mustache, and it's got very little. Now, I haven't grown a mustache for a while, so it may be all white now,
Did
too. It had some. But now my eyebrows were blonde. My beard, oh yeah, blonde hair on my arms. A reddish blonde hair on top of my head. But a dark red goatee, a beard, because I've grown them off and on.
You said reddish blonde hair, right?
I just have different color hair.
Yeah, my mother has a name for reddish blonde hair. It's actually a technical term. It's called strawberry blonde.
There's strawberry blonde, but mine was a little more. If it got wet, it was really red.
they refer to it as auburn, also.
It was a little more blonde. But
Yeah,
it was more
my mom
more
calls me a
strawberry
Bruno.
or amber.
My
More
mom,
of a strawberry blonde, but it had there was more red than blonde. For
I'm
me.
Pennsylvania Dutch, so I got like their complexion.
Well, believe it or not, I'm part Native American, and I don't have any of that. My older brother was darker complected, had dark hair. My mom was darker complected. She still is. She's still alive. She had black hair. Now she said she had blonde hair when she was a kid and it turned black. Her mom was raised. Her mom was half Native American. Her mom was raised on a reservation down outside of Philippi, West Virginia. And now my grandmother, she wouldn't claim to be Native American or Indian. She always said, "I'm Caucasian." She'd wear a lot of powder on her face because in my part of the state where I grew up, there was really no Native Americans. So and I guess she went through some hell on the reservation because of there was a lot of prejudiced people back in the 1800s and early 1900s, which is when my grandmother and grandfather both were growing up. My grandfather.
There was many tribal nations back then.
Yeah, but my grandfather. Now that's the German side of the family. Now he was born in 1900. Even he was born in 1900.
Larry and Mac Daddy, I don't think you've seen what's behind me, guys.
I see you got a Let's Party poster behind you with a.
It's a diner background. I have a sign that says sarcasm, one of the many services I offer. But that's not the icing on the cake. See that little blue thing hanging up right there?
Clock?
Not just any clock, my friend. Wait for the magic to happen if I can reach. I'll have to take off my headphones real quick. Hold on.
I had to turn the mic off. I had to belch.
The neon sign clock.
Uh,
It's like a bar. It's a bar. Bar.
Oh, one of the neon clocks that changes color.
No, it just
It just stays the same.
it's just blue.
Interesting.
I bought it for $3 at the thrift before my family left the town of Farmington. So,
Abby, how you doing, Abby? Welcome.
hello, Abby. What's going on? Oh
Well,
my
you gotta remember
God!
now, it's Sunday morning in the Philippines, so a lot of the Filipinos that come in, they're 12 hours ahead of us. So look at
Oh
your
yeah, I
clock
remember.
of
I
your Easter.
remember that.
So they're getting ready for church or feeding their kids, or if they went to early morning mass, or just getting home. And
Larry, I've got a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Did any of you get to say happy birthday to Jack Hobson? It was his birthday recently.
I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It's probably because I'm not me. Did any of you guys get to say happy birthday to Jack Hobson recently? It was his birthday.
No. He's been doing his live streams when I'm at work mostly.
Oh, well, I thought you guys would know when his birthday was, but no worries. I'm sure he's doesn't mind. But I did get to I got to call him and say happy birthday to him.
Appreciate it. You liking and sharing there, Abby. Thank you.
Much love, Abby.
Like I said, I make, when I'm at work, occasionally I can get into a live stream. See, I go at work 6 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. I work 10-hour days, and I'm off 3 days a week.
3 days a week, huh?
Yeah, I work 40 hours.
Mac, I remember you said before you were in pain before. They finally done me in. I had to pay out of pocket through my account for my SSI to get this. It's a special cream for my knee.
Yeah. Well, by the way, Eddie, Abby said hi to everybody in the panel.
Thank you.
Hello, Abby.
I'm having a lot less pain these days. My legs are healing. My eyes are healing.
Well, glad you're healing up, buddy. That's always good news. Man, what was
Hang on 1 second. Steph, you don't have anything. You don't have anything. I could go for a bottle of water. I'd like a sandwich, but that won't happen.
Oh, you connected to Bruce Davis already. Thank you, Abby. I don't know if Bruce he had to step away for a little bit, so I don't know if he's in the background or not, but he was up on the panel for a little bit, and he got some visitors, so he had to step away.
Oh, I also have good news, Larry. I think I told you about my initial plan last year because it was my birthday present I asked for from my mother. I had told you guys I was trying to get my mother to go into our old store to get all my childhood toys out.
Thanks.
So I could show everybody. So the thing about that, Larry, is that my mother was so busy and it's been hot season that she couldn't do that. My mother's gonna try to get into our stores and get all my childhood or teenage childhood belongings out of there. And I cannot wait to showcase them because it's gonna be like the archives, you know. But Lazy Larry, how have you been?
You just say Larry. You don't have to say lazy if you don't want to.
It's a tongue twister. What can I say?
Well, did you ever see my first video? That's where I tell people why I use the name Lazy Larry. I used to follow this blogger. He did live streams, and there was 4 Larrys in there. There was me, Larry Lee. There was Larry G, Larry B, and Larry Outdoors, and there might have been another one or two. So if somebody, like if Chris wanted to ask me, the guy was program was Chris and Sabu. If he wanted to ask a question, if he said Larry Lee, if I'm listening real closely, because a lot of times I was at work, it might have sounded like Larry B or Larry G. So I changed I just changed my name to Lazy Larry.
Thus, Lazy Larry was born.
Yeah.
Well, Chris and Sabu, we had the Ed posse. There was so many
Yeah,
Eds.
there were like 4 or 5 Eds that were in there all the time.
At least 5.
At my school, there were so many Zachs. Like I had to worry about who they called on, like Zach D, Zach B, Zach S.
Well, my first 3 years in school, and I'm not my first 3 because I'm not count. Just don't count kindergarten because that's not the case. But first, second, and third grade, there was 2 Larry Lees.
2,
and a Larry Lee Allen. My name's Larry Allen Lee.
Oh my God!
And the other Larry Lee was Larry Mark Lee. We were the same for 3 years. Now Larry Lee Allen lived right across the street from me, Canna Corner. He was my neighbor.
Ironic.
So, like I said, for 2 years, then my family moved, but I still went to the same school for another year.
Mac Dad, what were you trying to say, Bub? Sorry.
Well, you know what I hated about Chris and Sabu when they broke it up? He never let us know he was going.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that we were on there with and we're good friends with that have like vaporized and disappeared.
Yeah, well, Mike was one of the people on there. He's still here.
Like, where's Racer X?
Huh? Racer X? I haven't seen Racer X in a while. Ed Denoy shows up once in a blue moon. He shows up. And he'll show up. Knitman shows up more in.
Nip goes up.
Knitman shows more up in Dan's live streams.
I keep missing Dan's live stream because what is he on at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Who, Dan? 6 o'clock in the morning.
6 in the morning.
I saw Dan live, like Dan and Minnie. I saw Dan live recently. But I didn't join because I was in the middle of my own live stream.
Yeah, well, like I said, Dan now does Friday morning at 6 in the morning.
Well, I'm going to be doing.
That's our time. It's 6 in the evening, his time.
Now that I'm back, I'm going to be trying to do something. I got to get out walking again. I got to walk some more. So to encourage me to walk some more, I have a DJI gimbal. I got like the best gimbal you can buy.
All right. Now, Mike just said he sees Racer X on my lady Enchantress, her channel. He'll see.
Tell him to stop on by if you could.
Yeah.
We'd all love to hear from him.
Larry.
I check out. I haven't been into my lady, and I just call her my lady. It's my lady Enchantress Garden and Travel or something like that. I just call her my lady.
Because we used to tease Racer X about being not the daddy.
And Larry, I gotta get going because I actually have to go do a Boston tea time.
All right. Well, another thing, I did another video on why I started the Lee. Because originally it was just Lazy Larry, then it became Lazy Larry Lee. And I added the Lee because if you look up Lazy Larry, there's a bunch of cartoons about Lazy Larry I never knew of.
I know.
You had to go through a whole lot of pages to get to me. So as soon as I added Lee to my name, I'm the first. If you put in Lazy Larry Lee, I'm the first thing that pops up.
Lazy Larry Lee.
Yeah.
You realize I know
Lazy Larry, a lot of cartoons, and I mean pages of it.
Do you know where the cartoon term Lazy Larry comes from?
No.
The new, later in the year's cartoon called Amazing World of Gumball. There's a character called Larry Needlemeyer, but he was also known as Lazy Larry back in the day.
No, well, see, I got the nickname Lazy Larry back I got the nickname Lazy Larry back in 1971.
Why? What was the reason? Not that I'm judging, but
well, the video tells it. What happened was I'd signed up for auto body repair my senior year. Well, they decided they weren't going to have it. So in their infinite wisdom, without checking with me, they put me in automotive repair. I had no interest in working on automotives, on the car engines, none. Never have, never will. And so I was in this class, and I never brought work in. So if somebody needed help, I would help. But I mean, I never brought work in. And so the instructor, whenever somebody needs help, he'd just say, go get Lazy Larry. He's got nothing to do because we're doing, shop work. I never brought anything in. So I never had anything to do. So that's where the nickname came from. Now, at the time, I was working almost 30 hours a week, every week, going to high school full time. So it wasn't like I was really lazy. I had no interest in working on motors. And so that's how I got the nickname. And I didn't use it again until, like I said, I was in that chat with Chris and Sabu. Nice. All right, you take care. I don't know what happened with Ed. He just dropped out, so hopefully he'll come back up.
I'm probably just internet issues. But we'll catch you later, Lazy Larry.
All right, you take care, man.
Dude, I will. I'm probably going to go do Boston Tea Time, and then I'm probably going to get something to work on my Windows PC. Later, buds.
I'll probably stay up and do something after this, but I'll get to bed eventually. But I got about a good 8 hours sleep last night, so I'm not that tired.
I'll catch you later, bub.
All right, man. Take care. See you later.
Live long and prosper.
I can't do it. I have to bend the fingers to do it, see?
Oh, yeah, that was you, the one on this panel that couldn't do it. What? Yeah, how about this?
Peace!
Peace out, brother.
All right, have fun, man. All right, anybody else want to come up? Come on up. We're willing to let anybody come up and talk about what they want. Hopefully Ed will come back. I'm just glad to hear his surgery went as well as it did. So now he's got eyesight back in both his eyes. So that's a good thing. Praise the Lord for that. See, now Bruce is just trying to make us jealous there, Mike. That's all he's doing. And you make me jealous because you get to go too. But like I said, my mom's 98, so I there's no way I could go. And I want to save some more money before I go too. So we'll get it done. And as long as my health hold up, I will get over there. So my plan right now is to go to Cebu first. Mac Daddy's back.
I had to drop down for a second.
Hey, Mac Daddy, what happened? What happened?
I'm trying to buy a pizza oven, and it got sold.
Okay.
Trying to buy a double slot pizza oven because I make so much pizza. Everybody wants my pizza.
Yeah, I just had I can't remember because I own a Stromboli. Which one's folded in, like a pizza folded in half?
That would be like a Stromboli.
All right, I had the Calzone.
If they seal it up.
Oh, I had the Calzone because it was a rectangle one.
Well, calzone would be a Stromboli with ricotta in it.
Yeah. I had the Calzone last night for supper.
That's just a Stromboli with the addition of ricotta, and then you adjust it with the ingredients you want.
No, Stromboli's the one that has the ricotta.
No.
Then the Calzone is the one that's folded in half.
Well, I don't know how they make them where you're at, but where I'm at,
I can tell you where I'm at.
A Stromboli would be like mozzarella sauce, maybe steak or ham, some vegetables like mushrooms, fried onions, or something, and put together like a half a pizza punched down. A calzone would be mozzarella, ricotta, and sauce, and then the additional toppings that you wanted in there.
Well, the Calzone where I'm at is the square one. Well, because I did not get ricotta cheese.
Right.
It was the rectangle one folded over with the ends open, and it had pepperoni, ham, uh, mixed some vegetables, some peppers, onions.
Well,
And the stromboli has the same thing, but it's
you know how they make ricotta, don't you?
no.
When they heat the milk up to curdle and set the milk to make mozzarella or provolone, you add your curdling agent, which is enzymes and like lemon juice,
All right.
and that curdles that. And then once you like swirl all the curdles and you make mozzarella balls or you make a big roll of provolone, the little particles left in the water, if you skim them out, they're ricotta.
Okay.
So every time you make mozzarella or provolone, the little particles in the water are ricotta cheese.
All right.
And it's it's a waterier cheese because it has more moisture content.
Yeah. Well, the thing where I order from Don's Pizza, which is a local, very small family, but they have more than one location. You got like 2 or 3 locations.
Well, everybody puts their twist and name on it. Like if I try and order a hoagie here in Johnstown, you can't get a hoagie to save your life. They call it a sub, but it ain't nothing like what I'm used to.
Yeah. But anyway, like I said, the price of their calzone and their stromboli is the same price.
Like where I'm from in Philly, a hoagie would have Genoa salami, or an Italian hoagie, Genoa salami, provolone cheese, and like 2 or 3 kinds of ham. It could be supersada or pepperoni also.
Yeah.
Lettuce, tomato, onion, oil and vinegar, and oregano on the vegetables, like the lettuce, tomato, and onion.
Yeah.
And then you could maybe get mayonnaise on there too if you want it, or not, or just oil and vinegar. And out here they use Italian dressing. Nobody does oil and vinegar. Nobody automatically puts oregano and black pepper on it. And so it's not like anything I'm used to. Plus, you can't get a good roll out here. In Philly, they never put the roll in a plastic bag. So it gets that nice, crusty, flaky Italian bread crust that we all love. Like me, as a deli owner, I wouldn't put my rolls in a bag till like 2 o'clock, and then I would just put the bag kind of over them to slow them down. But I would never close that bag, because as soon as you close the bag around the roll's a living item. It has a living fungus in it. And when you bag it, it suffocates.
Yeah. Now, I got a question. What if you put it in a paper bag?
Paper bag is what it should be in.
All right. That's what I was thinking, because I've got places where you buy the bread in paper bags, not plastic bags.
Or that's why they put it in those plastic bags with all them little holes in it, is to keep it crusty. And you can't put it away in the bag too hot or it'll steam itself.
Yeah.
There's so many little tweaks on bread. Plus, do they put sponging agent in the bread? Do they put diastatic malt powder or malt syrup? Do they put an antifungal in it so to stop it from going moldy? If I make bread, it's only good for 2 or 3 days. It turns blue mold, which is what it should do. But when they put it in a plastic bag, a lot of times they put an antifungal in with it, which stops it from, deteriorating so fast. And they got formaldehyde and everything else they do with bread. Bread is...
Oh, I know they used to put formaldehyde. They probably still do in alcohol that they would sell. The beer that you would buy overseas, the American beer, a lot of times had formaldehyde in it as a preserving agent.
See, originally they would use hops. That's why you have an IPA, a British pale ale. They put extra hops in it. That's why it tastes like hops, is because when they sent beer to Africa during World War II, they put extra hops in the beer to keep the beer from spoiling. Thus, India, and beer was generally coming out of India, so it was India Pale Ale, IPA.
Okay. I always, depending on the country I was in, because I really didn't care for Chinese beer.
Sure.
The Japanese beer was, it was all right, but I preferred the American. But in the Philippines, I always drank the San Miguel. I almost never drank American beer in the Philippines. I would drink the San Miguel painted label.
And Russian beer is an acquired taste too, although you can't get Russian beer anywhere these days.
I've never had Russian beer.
Russian beer is definitely an animal of its own.
Now Mike said, I guess he's talking about Ontario because that's where he lives. We put hoagies wrapped in paper and then paper bag.
Well, we wrap them in Philly. We wrap them in what they call newsprint. It's newspaper without the print on it. We put a piece of they'll call it wax paper or cabinet wax. You put a piece of wax paper over it, and then you wrap it in the paper. And, hoagie is a Philadelphia term. Most people don't know that. If you were called a hoagie at one time, it was an insult. That meant you were a hourly paid employee at Hog Island Steelworks.
Yeah. And
Hog Island Steelworks is now, because they filled it in with dredge spoils over the years, is now where they land all the jets in Philly. It's Philadelphia Airport was Hog Island Steelworks.
Okay.
But so you didn't burn the city down. They kept the steelworks in the swamp on Hog Island.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. Robert, welcome to the chat. If you have a channel and you want to let people know about it, just type in LLL, and my Nightbot will drop your link. If you want to come up and talk to us, come on up. I did give you a monitor. So just remember, you don't have to like each other, but you got to respect and be kind to each other. That's the only thing I ask.
And then another one, Larry, was, what did they make at Hog Island Steelworks? They made submarines, the steel for submarines.
Oh, yeah.
But the submarine sandwich came out of the subworks where they made submarines in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And because of all the Italians up there, they made a very similar sandwich.
The first submarine sandwich I had that I can recall. Okay, I'm not saying maybe I had it and didn't know that's what they called it or something. But first one I can recall having, I was in Bremerton, Washington. My ship was in the dry docks there. Now, they could put aircraft carriers in the dry docks in Bremerton. And right outside the base, well, it depends on which way you went, but where I was at, the closest exit, right outside the base, maybe a block or so, was a place they called the Old Submarine Shop. And so you could get a sub, which was a large, or you could get a torpedo, which is probably what you would call a hoagie, a small one.
Well, a hoagie would be big or small. The torpedo refers to the size of the roll. You're right about that.
Yeah, but the sub, they had what they called sub, and you went in there just like Subway, a lot like Subway. But you go in there and say, I want this, this, and this, and go right down the line. But it was called the Old Submarine Shop. So I don't know if it was a forerunner of the Subway or if it was just because Subway came
probably a forerunner of the Subway. And again, it all came off the military bases because a lot of these guys moved around. And these military bases all had these sandwich shops right off a base. Another thing you'll find right off of a lot of military bases is like a Hofbrau hut or a Wiener Schnitzel, where they sell hot dogs and sausage sandwiches.
Well, it depends on what base, because when I was at San Diego, we didn't have those right off base. At least not 32nd Street.
Langley Air Force Base, Mercury Boulevard, Norfolk, Virginia area, Tidewater area. They have right off the base, they have a Hofbrau house and a Wiener Schnitzel. And you can't get near the base near lunchtime because, it's like a 5-hour lunch deal. And everybody wants to have sauerkraut and hot dogs and chili dogs. And
like I said, we didn't have any of that where I was at. Now, we did have some places on base to go get food.
And
a lot of the stuff right off base was actually owned by the military.
Sure.
We had a military club. We had the Navy Exchange was actually off base. You had to be in the Navy to go in, but they had we had a big old bowling alley and pool hall the Navy owned. You could go there and go drinking. That was off base. It was still a military property, but it wasn't on the base itself. You had to go through the exits to get to that. And we had military parks not too far from.
Shakey's Pizza is a pizza chain that you'll find off of many military bases. U-Haul,
they started in California.
Retro mentioned U-Haul earlier. U-Haul was founded by an ex-military guy when he retired because everybody was always moving in the military. So he offered rental vans and trucks to help people move off the Willow Grove Air Base in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, and then he went everywhere and put one off the military bases.
Yeah, and now they're in a lot more than just that.
Oh, they're everywhere, but I'm just saying.
That's the way it started. Yeah, I understand. Well,
you know, Krispy Kreme donuts, same thing.
Yeah.
All the way down the I-95 corridor to Florida, and of course they hit all the military areas because coffee and donuts.
Well, now the Krispy Kreme that we had a donut back home, a donut shop. Last time I was home, they still have it. So as far as I know, they still got it. Called Square Donuts, and they're actually square donuts
with a round hole.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're a lot like Krispy Kreme. I mean, taste wise. But anyway, they had this machine making the donuts for years. And a part broke down on it. And they went to the company that made the machine. And the company was saying, we've never made that. So they came in. Well, no, they made it. They just had been so long that they only made it for this one shop. That's it.
Right.
And so they went in and showed them, said, hey, here's the machine. You know, here's all this stuff. They said, oh, okay. And they made them another one.
Well, that would be Belshaw.
I don't know who it
They're
was.
a Midwestern company out of, I think, Wisconsin. And they made all the donut machines.
Yeah.
The automated donuts. They still make donut equipment, but they've been bought out.
Yeah. But anyway, we had people that would come in from out of town and would always go get the square donuts because it was better than the donuts in the places that they come from. Like I said, it tasted a lot like Krispy Kremes.
I can't get a donut to save my life here in Johnstown. When I go back to the Levittown area, I go to this place called Piazza's. They make Italian donuts. And they make like the classic cream and Boston cream. And they're just, they're a different animal.
I got a Dunkin' Donuts close by and a Starbucks.
Well, we had one of the original Dunkin' Donuts in Levittown from the 50s.
Well,
and they were very much different donuts back then too. All the Dunkin' Donuts were different. Like today, they're mass produced and then delivered or something to the stores. This Dunkin' Donuts actually made all the Dunkin' Donuts in the back of the store.
Yeah. Well, the Square Donuts, they made all the donuts at one location.
And then delivered them?
Deliver them to their other places that sold them. Now, the one location sold them as well, but they made them all in one location.
Well, if you've ever been to a Krispy Kreme where they have the big donut machine that does the turn in the store, that is Belshaw's biggest machine.
Okay.
And it's like a Mark 7 or Mark 8 donut. It's like 8 or 10 donuts wide.
I don't think we may have a Krispy Kreme around here somewhere. Now, we did when I was living up in the Rochester area. We had a Krispy Kreme up there. But I don't know if they got one down here. So the best place to go get donuts for me is Dunkin' Donuts. We got a place called Daffy's Donuts or something like that. I've not tried it out yet. And then, you got the stores that make donuts too. Well,
the stores don't really make donuts today. They make what they call a thermal glazed donut for most of them. They get a donut from Dawn Baking that's already been pre-fried and pre-cooked and frozen. They put it in this steamer that kind of heats it up, and then they run it through an oven. and it's like a donut, but it's not quite the same.
I don't buy donuts normally at the store.
I'm like a donut expert. I wanted to open up a donut shop at one time, so I learned all about it.
You know, like I said, normally if I want a donut, I go to Dunkin' Donuts and get one.
Now, if you want to talk about a big company, Dawn Baking is huge. They're international.
Not around here that I know of. I've not seen them.
Absolutely, they're all over New York. You just don't see them because they only sell to the supermarkets and the big donut places. You won't see Dawn on the street.
Okay.
But Dawn Baking does a lot with like the Spanish communities and stuff, because they all do their own baking and stuff. And Dawn Baking sells you the donut mixes, the donut glazes, like all the donut places in California buy from Dawn Donuts.
They're talking about the Hispanic. They're going to be having a Filipino festival this month here in Albany. I'm going to try to make that. From the way it looks, it's only going to be like one day, which surprises me. I figured it'd be the whole weekend, but
we just had the big polka fest in Johnstown last weekend.
Yeah,
come out and drink Slovak beer and dance to the polka.
I'm not drinking any beer. I don't drink and drive, and so but I do. I hope they got lupia, and I hope they got
Pancit?
Huh? No, the roasted pig.
Lechon.
Luchon. I've had Luchon. I've had the lupia before.
There's Pancit, which is real popular, which is like rice and pasta and everything together. And then there's Sig Sig.
Yeah. Talking about rice, I had something today that I've never had. I've seen it advertised. Not advertised, but I've seen it on a lot of YouTube videos in the Philippines and stuff. And I want to say maybe even Thailand, but I know I've seen it on a few of them. I had sticky rice.
You've never had sticky rice?
Not before, no.
Just overcooked rice that it's made from sushi rice.
No, sticky rice has got that like brown sugar, and it actually is very sticky. And they cook it like in banana leaves.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's rice, and then they fix it and steam it in banana leaves with some other stuff, and they like I said, I was running around with some friends today. We went to a Chinese restaurant over in Troy, and they had sticky rice, and they got a couple of my friends were buying lunch for everybody, and anyway, they bought some things of sticky rice, and we shared that. And that's the first time I ever had it. It was good.
Well, they got a million kinds of rice. Have you ever had the extra fancy, like super long grain sushi rice?
No. It's
like twice as long as regular rice or more.
I've had long grain, but I've not had the extra long.
I don't know where it's from. It has an elephant on the bag, and
it's probably from Thailand.
It's Bombay Rice is the company or something,
or it could be India then.
But it's got a really the rice is so long it's ridiculous looking. Yeah. And it's extra fancy for making sushi. The fanciest rice they make sushi with.
All right.
And then there's broken rice. Maybe you've heard of broken rice?
No.
It's all the rice that breaks in half when they're running it through the rice mill. They sort that out and clean it up. And they sell that for really cheap prices. It's like half the price of regular rice.
Yeah.
Then you have jasmine rice, Bomani rice, Abruzzi rice.
I've had a couple others, but I've had jasmine, and I usually just get long grain, whatever I'm getting, or mid grain. I don't like short grain.
You can't really find short grain because I don't want to brag how long the grain is.
Yeah.
And, American rice is always incredible rice by world standard, just because our rice grows really good here.
Yeah. Down in the Louisiana area and stuff down there.
Arkansas is where they grow a lot of rice. Arkansas and California.
I know. Louisiana grows a lot too.
Oh, sure, but the big producers are Arkansas and California, which surprised me when I learned it.
Yeah, that would surprise me because I think the South would be the biggest.
You would, and the Carolinas, of course, grow a ton of rice.
As I said, the South. A lot of the South grew. A lot of the areas, especially along the coast, grew a lot of rice.
We grow 1/3 of the rice grown in the world in the United States.
Yeah,
That's
Well,
how
what I'm saying is,
major we are.
they have rice is a much more staple for their mills, like potatoes is in the North.
Yes. Here's one for you. In India, when they want to control the market and affect the world market, they will come out with a ban on exporting rice. And what it does is it guarantees that rice will sell for less in the country of India, and it affects the price of rice in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And rice is definitely a weapon.
Well, Japan puts a tariff on rice because so many people grow so much more rice than they do. They want their rice to sell. They don't want the rice farmers to go out of business. So if you import it, you pay a higher price for that imported rice than you do for the local.
Yes.
And that's just so their farmers can still grow rice. They don't want to give that up.
Well, the Chinese can't produce enough rice to feed their nation, and have to go to the world market.
Yeah.
And that's part of what's going on with this war in the Ukraine. Not so much rice, but they've weaponized all the cereal grains and stuff. By Russia holding the war up in the Ukraine, they've cut off a lot of the chickpeas, cereal grains, lentils, and different like grains and stuff. Lentils are the second most nutritious bean that's eaten by many, many nationalities in the world.
Yeah, like I said, I know they're probably the grain belt.
And soybean loves fertilizer, and a lot of plants love fertilizer. Lentils, the beauty of lentils is they like a drought the best, and they don't like a lot of fertilizer.
Okay.
And they grow like red lentils and dark lentils, and so when you start looking at all these grains and studying them, you learn a lot.
Yeah, and I missed this comment by Mike about 8 minutes ago.
Oh,
actually a little longer. He said, we didn't have subs till 70s. Hoagies when a kid. And Mike, when I was talking about that submarine shop I went to, that was in the mid to late 70s. That was like 70s, 76. Yeah.
Well, that's when the Connecticut sub really caught on and gave the hoagie a run for its money.
Yeah. Like I said, we had this was like 76. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that was in 76, mid to late 76. Because I was in Bremerton, Washington, and I went up there in, what was that, around March, April 76. I went up there and then was back in San Diego a few months later. I was up there for a few months, maybe 6 months, if that. But it was before Christmas time.
If you ever had Tasty Cakes,
yeah.
Tasty Cakes were invented to go in your lunchbox to take to Hog Island Steelworks. The pie, that's why the pies are rectangle shaped, so it fits in your lunchbox better.
Yeah, I've had Tasty Cakes.
And they used to have 3 crimpets and 3 cupcakes, and it was to have one with your morning break, one with your afternoon break, and one with your lunchtime.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
Well, a lot of that stuff made sense, and we don't eat that way anymore. And it's like most people don't know the traditions of why things were the way they were.
Yeah.
That's just the facts of life and how amazing things were and how much they've changed.
Oh yeah, well actually, the biggest meal of the day used to be breakfast, then lunch,
Yes.
because your dinner was your smallest meal.
Well, actually, the Amish never called lunch lunch. They called it dinner. You had dinner at 12. You had breakfast, dinner, and then you had your supper.
Yeah,
And, it was like a different way.
yeah. And now people use dinner and supper interchangeable for the evening meal.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of farmers did it the same way, not just the Amish. Back before, when the most of the people were farmers. What the heck?
Sure.
Well, for some reason, the remove sign went across. Well, I have the. Here, let me show you.
Well, another
All right,
thing, Larry, while we're talking about it all and talking about.
you see how down here, there's me and there's you down here on the bottom. See that remove sign? For some reason, earlier when I was there was nothing going on, that remove symbol was on your picture, and I never touched anything. But when I went over and I just clicked on something else and it removed it. It's like, why did that pop up? I mean, I had to go over there and hit remove to take you off. But it was just.
I got one for you, Larry.
Go ahead.
Up until the 70s, we didn't grow as much wheat as we can grow now, because now you have like 4-row or 7-row wheat. You have 12 grain barley, meaning everyone has 12 pieces of barley on it. We had less wheat kernels on a stem of wheat, less barley on a stem of barley, less rice on a stem of rice. And as they spread this stuff and cross-spread it and bred it and got more up on it, they were able to double and triple the crop yields.
Yeah, but they also you had fewer rows of fewer corn cobs per field too.
Yeah, well, per corn stalk, you only had 1, and now they're up to 3, and a couple more years they're going to have 4.
Yeah.
You know how many corn silks are on an ear of corn?
Corn silks?
Yeah, the little like hairy things, that silk.
I don't know how many's on there. No.
There's 1 for every kernel of corn.
Okay, I did not know that. I just know I hate the silk.
Everybody does, but the silk has to be fertilized with the pollen to develop the kernel.
Well, that's fine, but matter of fact, I hate it so much. I buy the corn already peeled. So all I gotta get is I get the corn on the cob, but it's all in the package. That everything's been taken off of it. Occasionally, you still get some silk with it, but nothing like if you.
Well, out here where I am, we won't see fresh corn on the cob out of the farmer's field till like the 1st or middle of August. In the Philadelphia region, you get it from Atlantic City, Delmarva Peninsula earlier the first week of July.
Yeah. Well,
Because
there's an old saying
so much out of the ocean.
The old saying back home about corn is knee high by the 4th of July.
Yes, that's very true here in Western Pennsylvania too.
Yeah, but
and that's something you want to talk about. Corn. The last couple years, the sweet corn, they've upped the sugar content so much it keeps longer now.
Yeah, I love
corn for a day or two, and now you can keep it for a week. You don't even have to refrigerate it, because they've developed ones like Good and Plenty and Bodacious and a few other brands that really, really have the sugar content on sweet corn raised to the point where it keeps longer.
Well, that's bad for me, but I love it. I'm diabetic, so the higher the sugar, the worse for me. But
and still, the biggest corn kernels, the Mexican white corn.
Yeah.
That they make the tortillas out of. The kernels are like 4 times the size of a regular sweet corn kernel. Have you ever had strawberry popcorn?
No.
Little tiny red ornamental ears. They look like of corn. They're only about maybe 2 inches long. And when you pop this corn, it's got this real tiny pink, like butterfly shaped popcorn. It's extra crispy and very delicious, but you don't get nowhere near the yield that you get on regular popcorn. Then, there's two kinds of popcorn, basically. There's the ones they make caramel corn out of, the big round ball ones. They call that mushroom popcorn. And then the popcorn like we eat when we go to the movies, that's called butterfly.
Yeah. Now, Orville Redenbacher was he went to, I want to say it was Purdue University in Indiana.
Yes, he was a senator or something, developed his own strain of popcorn and made popcorn very popular.
He was a farmer expert. He was, I forget what they call those guys.
A botanist.
No. This is the guy who goes around and works with farmers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I forget what they call it, but that's what he did. He went to college for that. And then, like you said, he developed his own. And but that happened in Indiana. All that took place in Indiana.
Old Orville Redenbacher, he made the popcorn that we know so popular.
Oh, yeah. And I like popcorn, but I don't eat it very often because too often the kernel, not the kernel itself, but that little shuck part will get stuck in my gums.
You got to have mushroom popcorn.
Huh?
That mushroom popcorn, that won't happen. Butterfly has that big shell that gets stuck in your gums.
Yeah, that gets stuck in my gums, and it just drives me nuts. I love popcorn.
And blows off the kernel.
Yeah. But
that's the little round stuff that you see that they make kettle corn and caramel corn with.
I've had kettle corn. That's pretty good, too. Now, back home, they have what they call the Covered Bridge Festival. I did a series of videos on covered bridges when I was back home in October, late October, early November last year. Now, it was after the festival. And but they have a covered bridge festival in Park County. They have a lot. They have more covered bridges in that county than anywhere else in the United States.
Leave them alone.
And so they have a festival every year, and they got all these different routes you can drive and go through different covered bridges and all that. And they got double spans and twin spans and single spans and.
Yeah, we had some double span ones here in Pennsylvania. It looks like two covered bridges hooked together.
Yeah, that's a double span. Twin spans is you got one span, you cross going one way, the other one's going the other direction.
I have a little one down the street that we used to use when I was in the shine business. We used to hide the moonshine under the bridge.
Yeah.
We've been doing it forever.
Well, there used to be one we would cross going to my grandpa's farm. Now, my grandpa's farm was 53 acres, mostly woods. There was some farmland, but it was mostly woods. My older brother and I used to go out there and go camping during the summer until we both started working. And but anyway, somebody burned it down, like some kid, some pyro.
Yeah, they were doing that for a while. That was crazy when they were doing that.
Yeah, but that bridge was almost 100 years old when he burned it down. Still used. There's bridges back home that's about 120, 130 years still in use.
There's 30-year-old there's 30-some covered bridges here in Pennsylvania.
No, this is one county. It's got about that, just one county.
Yeah, well, sure.
So I'm saying it's got the most covered bridges in one county as anywhere else in the United States. And one of them in Bridgeton, that's the name of the town, Bridgeton, they had one that wasn't in use, and somebody burned it. And they figured, hey, our town's name is Bridgeton. We had the Covered Bridge Festival in this county. So they went and built another covered bridge. It's not in use, but you can walk and see how walk across it and see how it was built and all that good stuff.
How they had to bend all the beams and the lumber. It's amazing.
Yeah. And like I said, a lot of those covered bridges are well over 130 years old now. Now, some were built in the 1900s, but this bridge is built in the 1890s.
I know in the the Trenton, New Jersey area between Marsville, PA, and Trenton was one of the largest covered bridges in the United States at one point, and the bridge is long gone, but the foundations are still there for it.
Yeah.
Then they have what they call. Have you ever? Did you guys have any of the iron bridges? They call them chain link bridges.
No, I don't remember seeing those.
It
I'm
looks
not
like
saying we don't have them, but I've not been across one.
it looks like a big stretched out like bicycle link in a chain, or like a bobby pin, a
Yeah.
double bobby pin where they pin these bridges together. Bucks County has 3 or 4 of them that are still in action,
Yeah.
and they can't rate the steel on them because they're so old. You know, they just tell you that they're technically unsafe from what we'd have to tell you, but they're still in use and they're from the Civil War era.
Wow, that is old. No, like I said, the cover bridges there. A lot of the cover bridges, they're so small because they were built in the horse and buggy days. So you can only take a car one way. So what you got to do, a lot of times you can't see when you pull up because you got to go up. You honk your horn when you get
on the bridge.
And so if somebody's inside the bridge coming across, they honk their horn and let you know, hey, I'm in here, I'll be out. So you let them come out, then you go in, and then if somebody comes up on the other side, they got to honk their horn, and then you honk back and let them know you're coming out. And but they got quite a few of those. It's, like I said, they're built in the 1890s, 1880s, still in use. And I showed some of those.
In Bucks County, there's only, in the whole state of Pennsylvania, there's only 7 ways to get from New Jersey to Pennsylvania for free. And
Yeah.
6 of those ways and bridges are in Bucks County.
And they're probably covered bridges.
Well, there are 3 or 4 of them are the chain links, and then one called the Trenton Makes World Takes Bridge, and they're old iron bridges.
Yeah. But well, like I said, I've been across. I've taken a ferry, not a ferry, the old kind of ferry where a river ferry, barge-like ferry. You know what I'm talking about when I say a barge-like?
Yeah, where they pull you across with a cable or a rope.
Yeah, I've been across the Wabash River with one of those, but that was when I was a kid. They don't even exist anymore.
I've taken the Cape May ferry a couple times from Cape May to Lewes, Delaware.
Yeah.
In the Delaware River in Trenton, up in the duck pads, there is a Fulton steamboat.
Oh, wow.
John Fulton.
Yeah.
And that's how old that is. And you can still see this giant connecting rod sticking up in the middle of the boat. Rusted as could be, and it's probably 15, 16 feet long from the giant steam engine that was there. But when they ran this boat aground, it's still there to this day, deteriorating.
Well, they got a barge on the Niagara Falls River that got stuck years and years ago, and it's moved very little. They can't move it themselves. Every once in a while, I guess the river will flood enough that it might move a little bit.
Sure.
And I mean, we're talking, it's been stuck there well over 50 years.
Well, when I was in the Norfolk area, I was in an area called the Canals around the air base.
Yeah.
And they had PT boats all pulled up in the weeds at this one place. There must have been 100 of them.
Yeah.
And another thing I seen was along the Neshaminy Creek in Bucks County, they had concrete barges that they were making for World War II, but never used. And they had those all pulled up and like they were using them as, riverfront, like the frontage walls.
Yeah.
And, I never seen anything like a concrete barge made out of cement.
I've seen a concrete boat.
Yeah, well, these could have been boats, but they were giant barges made out of cement.
Well, now I don't think this boat floated. But when I was in China back in '99, it was in Beijing area, I believe, if I remember right. And one of the places I went to see, it was a lot of stuff going on. I'd have to check my cards.
Well, these were experimental barges made at the Philadelphia Navy Yard when they were experimenting with making concrete barges to transport things during the war
Yeah.
for the war effort.
Well, it depends on how it's designed. A lot of people would never have thought steel boats would float.
Well, let me tell you this. Whatever they made these concrete barges out, it must have been some really high quality concrete, because they're still lasting today, and you can still see the U.S. Navy insignia on them, and they're just sitting there, and they're not really deteriorating after all these years.
They got concrete that will harden underwater?
Oh, yeah, it's called water plug.
Yeah, but you know where that was invented at?
I have no idea.
Troy, New York.
Well, I got one for you.
They invented it for the Erie Canal.
They've learned more about concrete in the last 20 years than the whole time since we've had it.
Yeah. But in Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute was founded by a bunch of people, and that's where they invented the concrete they did it for the Erie Canal. They had to have a way to do it, and so they have it hardened.
We used to use it on basement walls. The basement crack in the basement wall foundation will be leaking and putting water into the home. And we go in with this water plug concrete, mix it up, and you had to put it on quick. As soon as you got it in the crack, it would expand and then harden like in 10 minutes. And it would stop the water leak.
Yeah.
That's how I know about it. I used to use it on foundations when I was a job site super.
Yeah, well, like I said, that was invented in Rensselaer, Rensselaer County, New York, and that's where they come up with Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute was founded off that project.
I used to use a very ancient concrete, over 100 years old, called Maricote.
Yeah.
And it's a spray finish concrete. Every time it hits 70 degrees, it kicks and hardens. And it's got like acrylic latex in it. And it waterproofs, and you can spray it, and you can stencil it. I can make stuff look like basket weave brick and terrazzo tile and all kinds of incredible things. Concrete's a lot of fun when you start playing with it, especially when you start doing spray finish.
Yeah. Well, like I said, when I was researching the Erie Canal, because I did a video on it, because there's Lock 7 is not too far from where I live.
Sure.
I went down there and I did a video on Lock 7. I was even lucky enough that I had a boat going through, a private boat.
Yep.
And I was able to catch it, the water raising, and letting him in, and then lowered to let him out. Well, it was raised up to come in. It was lowered.
Let him in and then lowered to take him out.
And raised up to let him out. And I was able to catch that while that was going on. I didn't film the whole thing because it takes too long, but I stop it and then film and stop.
Well, they invented a lot of things that they never had before with the Erie Canal. It was one of the big wonders of the world when they built that.
Yeah.
And they did it in like 3 or 7 years. It was a short time that they put it together.
Yeah. But there was a lot of people that said, no, you can't do that. It was called Clinton's Ditch because the governor of New York wanted to have it done. And his name was Clinton. I can't remember his first name. But a lot of people thought it was silly, and they were just calling it Clinton's Ditch, like it's going to be a waste. It's never going to happen. It's just going to be a waste of money.
Well, that's still a famous cruise to say that you did these days. That you went up, you come up the East Coast, go into the Hudson River Thruway, into the Erie Canal, into Lake Erie, go over to the Mississippi, and then go south all the way down the Mississippi to the Gulf and come back around.
Yeah. Well, the original
doing the loop.
Well, the original Erie Canal, you didn't really go on the Hudson.
Right. Well, today you do a little bit of both.
Yeah. Now you go on the Hudson.
And a little bit of the canal.
Yeah. And now you can still use the canal itself, but that's done for more private boats or there are cruises that you can take, but I mean the big ships, the ships that the
Are all too
transport
big
ships,
for it.
they go in the Hudson. It's a different route now. But back when
But
they first started it, it was the Erie Canal was it. It was uh,
well, you can still apply
you can
for a
take that
placard.
you can take that from Albany all the way up to Buffalo.
You can apply for a placard if your boat does the loop.
Yeah.
Because they document it.
That'd be cool.
And I've sold a couple sailboats that did the loop.
Yeah. I don't know
When
if
I
I
was
do a
selling
sailboat.
boats.
I don't know how well a sailboat would work on the canal.
It's good.
Yeah, it depends. If you got the wind, with the canal itself, you don't always get the wind.
Well, no, you got to go through under power, and it's not always deep enough. You should have a boat with what they call a swing keel that you can wind the keel up on, and suck it up into the boat and get you better depth clearance.
Well, like I said, they got boats strictly that people use strictly on the canal.
Well,
they got like dinner boats that you can go on the canal,
Sure.
go out, and you can have a dinner and cruise up and down. And
a 27-foot Catalina sailboat with what they call a swing keel makes your boat very trailerable too, because you can roll the keel up.
yeah, I would probably use a pontoon.
Is very well. If you're doing the loop, you don't want a pontoon.
Why not?
Because it's not going to take the water in the Great Lakes very well.
That's probably true. But it would do
But
great.
or in the Gulf of Mexico, you get caught in a storm in a pontoon, you're done.
Yeah, but it would be great. It'd be great on the canal itself, though.
Oh, sure. But these people, that's why they're using these sailboats to do the loop. Plus, a sailboat gives you staterooms and a nice dining kitchen and, a nice head. There's a lot of things that you get.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not going to be a big sailboat.
Well, 27 foot's a decent size. It probably ends out at a 30-footer, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, though, I don't know if I'd want to go that much on a boat.
I can tell you what the beauty of a swing keel is, though.
What's that?
Well, you're sailing along and you run aground.
Okay.
And if you run aground in a regular sailboat, you're stuck. So the tide comes in, moves you, they tow you off or whatever. In a swing keel boat, you just get downstairs and there's a winch with a cable on it that pulls the keel up, and you roll the keel up and sail away.
Okay.
C'est la vie. And, that's what the beauty of that is, because you're rolling up probably a ton of iron that has a pivot pin, and you roll it up into the boat, and that's your ballast also.
Yeah.
Or the water ballasted sailboats are popular too now. You actually fill the boat hole with water.
Now, you may very well know the answer to this question. An LST runs itself aground intentionally. All right? That's a warship.
Right.
Do you know how she gets herself back off the ground? Besides unloading everybody.
Well, when it unloads everybody, it might also run some of the water out in the ballast.
That won't do it.
And they have a keel.
No, that won't do it.
How do they get off?
They drop their anchor out. Then run themselves
Before they
around
go in, and they can winch themselves off.
and whip themselves off.
I could see that. Also, I don't know whether you know
McDaddy,
what?
I've been there. I've done that.
Well, you also then know, on those landing craft, the World War II landing craft, because everybody's been talking about World War II all week.
Yeah.
I've seen them in the water and out of the water, and even ridden on one.
Yeah. So have I.
And they have, of course, you were in the Navy. They have the big drop front, but they also have a 24-inch keel that protects the propeller.
Yeah. But,
So you can run to the ground, and the propeller won't hit a rock because it's protected by the keel, and that will allow you to put it in reverse and help you get yourself freed.
every time we pulled into Kaohsiung, Taiwan, The whole time we were there, we used those boats to go ashore because we'd anchor out and have to take the boats in and back to the ship. And so they ran every so often, and you knew the schedule, so you tried to get there at a certain time so you not have to wait too long to go back to the ship. But you knew when they were leaving, you go up, catch the Mike boat in, go in, they stop at the pier, you climb out.
Well, the guy who I knew that had one of those launches hated it and used to complain about it.
Like I said, it didn't matter. If you wanted to go ashore, you were going that way.
He used to complain about it because he's like, every time I take this thing into the marina, all these military vets want to come running down and get on my boat and take pictures with it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that problem so much these days, I guess, because a lot of those military vets are gone. But he was like laughing about it as he's saying it. They won't leave me alone.
Well, it reminds him of the military days.
And then they had to ride the duck boats in the Philadelphia area.
Well, you're talking about the marine duck boats, or you talking about the duck boats they use there in Boston? Because there's two different duck boats.
The duck boats with the big wheels on them and the propeller sticking out the back.
Yeah, but the Marines have one that would drive off the LST that I was on. The back end would drop down into the ocean, all right? And they drive off the back into the ocean. And then the boat, the duck boat that I'm talking about, would drop under the water.
This one didn't drop under the water.
Yeah, it would actually go under the water all the way.
These duck boats in Philly, though,
it would pop back up. And I knew a guy I worked with. He was one of the Marines that rode one of those things. He said the cabin would fill up with smoke because it would have to seal everything up when you went in. And then when it popped back up, there was a thing that would pop open as soon as it got back above water and let the smoke out. But he said that thing would fill up with smoke every time you went off. Then you could use the propeller to go ashore, and it had the wheels to go on land.
They started using these boats in Philly. Everybody'd get the scenic view of Philly.
Yeah.
And then they would put it in the water and drive you over to Camden Aquarium.
Yeah, they do that in Boston, too. They have that in Boston.
They weren't real popular in Philly because you could have a bad June or July day and everybody would get trenched in the rain. So they covered the top of them.
Yeah.
That became a problem when they hit one with a barge in the middle of the Delaware River and sunk the thing. Nobody could get off the darn thing because they couldn't get out through the top because there was a canvas tarp over it. Yeah. Bunch of people died. It was not a good thing. And that's because the boats were never made to have a roof on them for that very reason. And they put a roof on them and people died from it. And they never did nothing about it. I couldn't believe that they didn't throw a huge fit.
But yeah, we had they have both kinds of boats. Like I said, in Boston, when I went to Boston and I did the USS Constitution video, I didn't do one on the duck boat, but we took the duck boat too. And that was an interesting ride. They were letting the guy that was the pilot or the captain, whatever you want to call him, on the duck boat that I was on. And we're having kids that were like 15, 16, 14, teenagers, early teens, coming up and letting them drive it for a while.
Well, you were in the Navy in a very interesting time because they still had some of the old World War II military hardware around, and they were eventually phasing it all out. You got to see a lot of that stuff that you'll never see again.
Yeah, I was also during Vietnam.
Sure.
So, but yeah, like I said, the LST, that was a World War II ship. It really isn't going to do much good anymore.
The McHale's Navy PT boats that I seen in Norfolk, Virginia, they look like they were if they wanted to pull them out of mothballs, they could have been restoring them and dropping new motors in them and driving away in them.
Yeah, well, what they had during Nam, they called
them mothballs.
Yeah, but the ones in Nam were called RPTs, River
Well,
Patrol boats.
They were the steel ones. They were made out of aluminum or steel. These were all wooden ones.
Yeah, the old PTs were wooden. They were I want to say teak.
Teak and mahogany, yes.
Yeah, but like I said, the River Patrol boats were a little smaller. They weren't as big. They were smaller because they were made to go on the river, not on the ocean.
Well, this area called the canals in the Norfolk Tidewater area was real popular with everybody on the weekend because it was big, wide canals that were there for the military that they didn't really use on the weekends.
Yeah.
It was a good place to go water skiing because you weren't water skiing on the rough bay in the afternoon. So it was like it looked like a miniature city of women in bikinis and boobies, and oh god, it was fun.
But yeah, I could see that. But like I said, though, I got lucky. I had orders to Vietnam, and they got canceled. So like I said, I got lucky. I was set in Yokosuka, Japan, and my ship had orders to go to Vietnam, and they canceled them because of the Paris peace talks of 72, 73. And the reason why they canceled, even though I was on a non-combat ship, so my ship was not combat, but we repaired other ships. So what they were afraid of, if we were there at a ship, we were repairing a ship that might have had to leave to get repaired because we weren't replacing another repair ship. This is my first ship. That could be construed as stepping up the war action.
Do you know that
during peace talks, you maintain or lower?
Do you know that Ho Chi Minh originally wanted to side with the United States and not?
Yes, I do. He came to, and Eisenhower wouldn't do it because we just got done fighting the Koreans, and he was afraid it would give a, he was afraid he leaned towards communism, and so he really didn't want to support him because of that. But yeah, he was pro-American, and then the French was on the other side, and so they were on our side, and he was leaning towards communism, but yeah, we'd have much better relations if we'd have gone with Ho Chi Minh. But because the South Vietnam had a little more corruption, I think. But we were actually winning the hearts of the people at one time because we were out there helping build hospitals and a lot of other stuff and doing a lot of.
That whole war was just fought over military hardware, basically. Who could make the most on the military?
Yeah, but anyway, like I said, though, it was they were out there doing good with the people, and then I can't remember. I want to say it was the Tet Offensive. After the Tet Offensive, they pulled back. And the Tet Offensive, a lot of people think we lost it. We won the Tet Offensive.
America does it time and time again. We win the war and lose the peace.
No, we win the battles and lose the war.
Well, we lose the peace. We never put the schools in and the hospitals, everything that we promised them.
That's what they were doing before the Tet Offensive. And because of the Tet Offensive, the politicians said, "Oh no, we can't be out there." Even though it was a decisive victory on the American side, the Tet Offensive. If they'd have continued, the North would have lost. Because, but then they realized that, we scared them. We just got to hold on. And that's what they did.
It's crazy.
They actually lost the Tet Offensive. We could have sadly beat them if they did it. But the politicians and the newspapers made it sound like we lost, and we didn't. They won that Tet Offensive. They won that.
Well, the papers during the war are always propaganda anyhow.
Yeah. And they were propaganda against the war. If they were propaganda for the war, it would have been different. But like I said, though, we won all the battles and lost the war because of the politicians and the newspaper.
And I don't know what you've been watching lately on the war in the Ukraine. The Ukrainians have really stepped up in the last couple of weeks with all the new hardware we sent them.
Yeah, but
they're giving it to Putin.
That's been going on because of as long as it's been going on because of Biden. They and the Congress, because sometimes they get into it over how much should we give them, or what are we giving them? Well, what about accountability? We want accountability, which I can understand that. We want to see what the money's spent on.
We got to give them enough to win, and we haven't ever committed to doing that. That's the big problem.
But like I said, part of that is because Congress wants accountability. They want to know what the money's being spent on, and they're saying, "Oh no, just give them what they want."
Well, they blew up the bridge in Crimea last week, and they blew up a bunch of Russian warships again.
Well, that's good. I'd like to see that war end.
Wouldn't we all? I'd like to see all wars end.
Well, you got that right. War is not a good thing.
For anybody.
No. Like I said, I got lucky when I was in the service. My orders to Knob was canceled. My older brother went to Knob. He was also in the Navy. But he was out there when they were starting to clear some of the mines in the Gulf of Tonkin. And he saw a ship get blown up by one of those mines.
Well, we've been taking pot shots at the Chinese and with the Japanese over in the Strait of in the area of Taiwan.
Hold on, what do you mean pot shots? We haven't shot at them.
We haven't, but the Japanese have been fighting with the Chinese, which they always do.
Yeah, but the
Shot up a
Japanese.
few jets of the Chinese, and they blew up a few of their Coast Guard boats.
I don't blame them. I really don't.
No, I don't blame the Japanese either. The Chinese certainly deserve what they're getting.
They deserve it from us over in the Philippines. We should be doing it. But they're really hassling the Filipino people. They're trying to take over almost all of their fishing water.
Yeah, they're trying to take the big fishing grounds, and it's only because of one thing.
And they're harassing the Filipino Navy.
The Chinese cannot afford to feed their people, so they want to take the fish from the Filipinos.
Yeah.
And they put up a fence and everything in the ocean. How do you put up a fence in the shoals of the Philippines?
Like I said, they're trying everything to get the Filipinos off this one shoal. Because every time, and what they got to do, they're leaving the guys there, and they're taking in supplies, and they've shot water guns at them, the big holes.
Yeah, the water cannons, and they're trying to seek the Filipinos, and
so like
the Filipinos can't really give up because.
By the way, Matt, Daddy, Crystal Adventure, and saying hi to you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. The Filipinos depend on all those fish and what they collect from the ocean for the sovereignty and food for their nation, just like the Chinese want to.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, no, that's been theirs for years. And now they're Chinese, oh, no, that's ours. It's been ours for... No, it's not.
Well, they shouldn't call it the South China Sea. That's the problem. They put China's name on it. They want to come out and say they own it all. But they really don't and never have.
And they're trying to claim that Taiwan is a breakaway province. I'm sorry, China's never had that. Matter of fact, Japan used to have that until the Chinese nationalists escaped from China to there. That's how it became part. That's why it's Chinese. It was never.
It's almost 100 years old at this point that happened.
Almost. But what I'm saying is, there was the people that lived there were not considered Chinese that lived there.
They're Taiwanese.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't. I'm not talking about the Chinese that live there now because they consider themselves Taiwanese. But there was a different race that lived there, still live there. They're a minority now. But like I said,
come on, lad. We all know why the Chinese want Taiwan.
The money.
They want all these chip factories and the technology and the money. Do you know that China closed all their factories the other year that made bicycles and a lot of the stuff they sell at Walmart? Yeah. Because they said, hey, we're going to, during the COVID epidemic, they said, hey, we're going to go high tech. I couldn't get sneakers for 6 months because they quit producing them in China. They're now making them again, and Walmart has my shoes again. But it was kind of funny.
But are they being made in China or are they being made in Vietnam now?
Well, they're still being made in China, but I wear these shoes called Works because they make size 13 4E sneakers and they sell them for less than $20 a pair. It's a great deal. It's a good shoe. Just a real basic sneaker.
Yeah.
But any other sneaker costs me $100 a pair to get my size. Because I got to buy New Balance or even the Nikes that claim they fit my feet are too small.
I won't buy Nikes.
Well, I won't either. I just they do nothing for me. I can't wear them.
I won't wear them. I won't wear anything Nike makes.
I tried buying my kid. I bought my kid LeBron's by Nike, and I tried buying myself. Oh, I'll try a pair of Nikes. They got my size. That was a mistake. I couldn't get them on my feet.
Now, the reason why I won't buy anything Nike is because they support a guy who would kneel during the national anthem. He's got the right to protest.
Oh, Kaepernick.
Yeah. He's got the right to protest, but I got the right to protest too.
Well, they ruined Kaepernick's whole career now, so he ain't protesting too much anymore.
Well,
he gave up his whole football career.
They still supported him, and so I don't support them. It's just that simple. I won't buy anything that's made by Nike.
I never liked their shoes anyhow because they never had my size.
I either buy New Balance or I buy Reeboks.
Who owns New Balance?
You tell me Nike owns New Balance?
No. Larry Nunbush. You've heard of Nunbush sneakers or Nunbush shoes, rather.
Yeah. I've heard of Bush shoes.
Nunbush Shoes is who owns New Balance, and they got two kinds of New Balance. They got the ones made in Asia, made in China anymore, and they got the ones that are made in America that cost like $50 or $60 more a pair for almost the same sneaker.
Yeah. Well,
made in America are better quality. Well, what are the ones from China and Asia? Junk? Oh no, they're good quality too. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
You got to remember it's the truth. They're paid less money.
Oh, it's good to have them manufactured. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
I had a friend in the sneaker business, a Korean guy by the name of Sang Lee. And Sang Lee, I met him through the bar business because he owned a couple bars. But him and his brothers owned sneaker stores. And they used to pay a couple family members to fly into Korea and buy suitcases full of sneakers and break down the boxes and mail the boxes separate and put all the sneakers in plastic bags and lace them up so they could say they were their personal luggage. And then they would fly back into the United States with them.
Yeah. I got to close my window.
And then they would take these sneakers and resell them as brand new for a lot of money, avoiding all the tariff and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're flying in with 200 pair of sneakers and you got 5 guys doing that, you're flying in with 1,000 pair of sneakers a week and you're selling them to other sneaker stores and wholesalers. And they always had a problem with the boxes because sometimes the boxes would get stopped. And they couldn't get them for counterfeiting the sneakers because the sneakers were legitimate Adidas and Nikes and everybody else's sneakers that sell for far less in Asia. So they got them for counterfeiting sneaker boxes. So if you bought a pair of sneakers from these guys, they literally had a few pair of boxes. They print it in the back and put the sneakers in as they went out the door. They'd have to go back and print you a label to go. It was kind of funny.
That would be.
Do you know how they got them, though? Remember a couple of years ago when everybody started wearing the colored sneakers in the United States, the oranges and the blues and the yellows and everything?
Yeah.
They did that so they couldn't bring the sneakers in from Asia. They left the Asian sneakers as white and the colored sneakers in the United States, and they messed these guys up with their marketing plan like terribly.
Okay.
Just interesting how business goes.
Oh, yeah. It's like somebody figures out how to beat the system. but the system then figures out how to beat you. All right.
Oh yeah.
It's like a criminal. Now, the very first case of embezzlement, the guy that did it got off scot-free because there was no crime of embezzlement when he did it. He worked in London. I believe it was London. It was in England, and he was a bank teller. And some rich guy came in and gave him, I don't know, 10 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever it was. But it was more money than he would make in a year. So he got the money legally. But he was supposed to put it in this guy's account. Instead of putting it in the guy's account, he pocketed it and got fired. But, that money was his. Well, they arrested him for theft or something.
Oh.
But he didn't steal it. He came by that money legally. He just didn't do what he was supposed to do with it.
A friend of mine worked for a municipality, a township.
Yeah, but no, he got away with it. But it was the same. Whatever he got would have been like what he would get for like 10 years. So I want to say like 100 pounds. Because we're talking 1700s or maybe before. And so because of that, that's when they came up with the crime of embezzlement. That means you came into the money legally. You just didn't do with it what you're supposed to do. You absconded with it. So you embezzled the money. But the first guy that did it, like I said, was a bank teller, and he got away with it.
It wasn't against the law.
Yeah, that's what I said. He got away with it. That's how they came. See, you know how I know this? I studied criminology, all right, in college. And that was one of the cases I had to study.
A friend of mine, you'll love this one, worked for a municipality, one of the townships. He was like one of the road crew guys. He asked to borrow a landscape trailer to go pick up material. So he came to a job site that me and another friend of mine worked at. At the end of the job site, there's all these houses we built, and every house has 5 or 10 extra sheets of drywall. He needed drywall for his garage. We said, come on down. We got to unload these houses anyhow, and you can have it all. One of the neighbors seen us driving through the neighborhood on the weekend loading up all this drywall. They called the cops on us. The cops came out. And we're like, look, we work here. We're allowed to do this. We got permission. And the cops didn't believe us. So they called the township my friend worked for with the trailer because they ran the trailer tags and everything. And they sent a detective out. Then the place that I work for, they contacted people and said, leave these people alone. Well, the detective came back Monday to the main office to do his investigation, and we all got called in. And my boss is like, listen, none of you guys are in trouble, but I told this guy to come back at 11 o'clock. Come in, we'll buy you his lunch. So we all went in there, and we all sat down, and the detective for the township's like, what do you mean you give this drywall away? It's whatever a sheet. You're giving $10, $30 away a house. And these guys are just allowed to take this that work for you and give it to whoever. And they couldn't understand the concept. And my boss finally looked at him and said, look, buddy, if we don't give it away, we're going to cut it up and throw it in the dumpster. So instead of us having to pay to do that, we tell them get rid of it. And, oh, God, it was hilarious. And the police could not understand that. My friend never got in trouble for using the trailer, that they wouldn't let anybody use a trailer again. And nobody was in trouble, and it was just, like, ridiculous. We'd be throwing this stuff away if we weren't giving it away, gang.
Yeah. Well, you always have a couple extra sheets in case something gets broke.
Right, but at the end of the job, you just sold the house for $300,000.
Yeah, but
that 5 sheets.
You know what I'm saying? You buy extra, whatever it is.
Sure, and the 5 seats that are left in the garage or whatever, the 2 or 3, 5, 10, whatever there, the homeowner who's moving into the house wants the place cleaned out. He don't want your leftover material left on his job site.
No, you mean in his house?
Right, in his new house. So, I mean, we would throw out like armfuls of trim, $30, $40 worth of trim. Just throw it in the dumpster. We made our money here. Yeah. Time to move on. And I used to take the trim to the flea market and sell it on the weekends. But oh God, it was hilarious. We're all in trouble, but nobody's in trouble.
Yeah. Well, that's like when I had that missing ship movement in Subic Bay, Philippines. We went off on a Sunday. We left the ship. When we left the ship, we were told if you get the word that the ship's going to be pulling out, you have to be back within 24 hours. Well, when I went off the ship, I had to be back in less than 24 hours anyway because the next day was a work day.
Sure.
So me and my buddy, my Chris Steffens, that was one of my running mates. We went off and hooked up with his girlfriend and her roommates and one of her girlfriend. I want to say it was her husband for a party at the beach. It was the girlfriend's birthday, not my friend's girlfriend, but her roommate girlfriend. So we go back, we go out to the beach and have a party, and the word comes down to certain ships, and my ship wasn't one of them. Certain ships were to report back. And so then whoever was supposed to, one of them was an aircraft carrier. They were supposed to go back. I was on a tender. So we go out back into town later on that afternoon, go to the movies, and the show patrol come in, or AFP, excuse me, Armed Force Police. It was combined Navy and Marines would have one show police force, and they just called them AFPs, Armed Force Police. Came in and said everybody was supposed to go back to the ships. Well, like I said, we were told 24 hours, so that wasn't until the next morning. And that was less than 12. I mean, it was like 8 hours, maybe 10 at the most. We had to be back anyway. So it was like, I'm not going back to my ship right now. I don't have to be back there yet. So
Sure.
we left there, went to his girlfriend's house, and we're in there having a beer. And the guy that we was at the beach partying with, the guy that was married or his girlfriend lived with my friend's girlfriend, he comes walking in his green uniform, which means he was the AFP, Armed Force Police. He comes in, grabs a beer. We're thinking, oh shit. Then we realize who it is. He grabs a beer, comes back out, drinking his beer with, talking to his wife. And he looks over at us and says, don't worry, guys. I don't say a thing. Drinks his beer, turns around, walks out. So we went back the next morning. Well, my ship pulled out. So I walked back, and there was this little tin can. Now, tin can's a destroyer.
Right.
It's less than half it's less than half the size of my ship. All right? In height and length. In length, it's more than half the size of my ship. But in height, it's less than half the size of my ship. So I walk up to the pier, and this tin can's sitting there. I look up at the quarterdeck. Quarterdeck's where you go on board the ship and request permission to come on board. And I look up at it, and I go, my ship shrunk. The guys on the quarterdeck just started laughing. So I walk up onto the quarterdeck and give them my name and tell them what ship I was supposed to be on. And I said, I want it on record here. I was back by the time I was told I had to be back. I want it on your
your manifest.
daily log. I want it on your daily log. So then I asked him, do you know where I have to go turn myself in for a place to stay? And they told me where to go. So I went back off their ship, caught a cab, me and my buddy, caught a cab, went to where we had to reported in, still was there before I had to be back to my ship. And we were given a billet, billets, a place to sleep. And then we spent the night there. The next day, our ship comes back in. And there's like 200 of us off my ship sitting there on the pier waiting on the ship to come back in. And there's chief petty officers. At that time, I was still a seaman. I wasn't third class yet. So it was like, there was over 200 of us on that pier waiting on and we're just waving at the ship when it comes back in. Hey guys, welcome back.
Well, the funny part that we dealt with that day was the detective that came out to investigate all this was really mad that the company didn't care that they were throwing this stuff away. He says, nobody throws away good material, gentlemen. Who's your boss? It's like, You don't understand. We run the company. We are the boss. These guys did nothing wrong. Leave them alone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was just so funny. I never dealt with anything like it.
Yeah. Like I said, all of us were written up for missing ship movement. All right. And so what we had to do, we had to go up in front of the XO. You go to the XO, then you go to the captain if he recommends it. Well, the XO had dismissed it against all of us because, like, we'd go up there. What happened? I left the ship at such and such time. And at that time, we were told to be back. If we got the word to report back, we had to be back in 24 hours. I was back in less than 12 after I got the word. And it goes, all right, dismissed. Boom, dismissed. Every one of us. It's like, hey, look, we went off the ship at around noon Sunday, which means we had to be back in about 18 hours, about 18, 19, 20 hours, about 18 hours. And we were told 24.
Well, that was the funny thing that we dealt with this whole situation. It's like, we did what we were supposed to do. Our company didn't care. Our boss loved us.
Yeah.
He told us, listen, don't ever give that material to another set of township guys. Make it disappear.
Yeah.
And, they didn't care what we did because you wouldn't believe what it cost to build a house versus what they sold it for when they were building the whole neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I know.
They're selling houses. They're selling houses for $300K. It only cost them $70,000 a house to build.
I would say maybe 100.
Well, it cost them 27%.
Yeah.
To build and landscape the place.
My younger brother, he used to, one of his best friends, that guy's parents would buy property and they'd build a house on it. All right. Now he helped them build it.
Sure.
They would live in that house after they got it finished, sell the one they were in before, and then do the same thing. Buy another piece of property, build a little
do it again.
And my brother helped them do all that. And they had this one house. I would have loved to have been able to. Originally, that was going to be the last house they did, but they decided they wanted everything on one level. But they built it into a side of a hill. So when you parked, you were at the top, and that was the living area. All right, was on the top. Then you went down into the basement area, which opened up to the ground on outside of the hill. So actually, it wasn't an enclosed basement. And it was the party room. And when I say party room, I mean party room. Now, remember, this couple was probably in their 50s at the time.
Yeah, well, this company had to pave the streets, put in the curbs, and build the houses. And 27% is like a hell of a profit margin. They're making, almost, they're making like
almost triple what they pay.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, though, this party room was big enough that I had a full-size pool table, I had a place for a ping pong table. They did not interfere with each other. Had a dance floor. Had a card table. Had a built-in bar. Had a restroom down there. Sliding glass doors with the patio above it, where you could enter from the upstairs and walk out onto a patio. So you had a covered patio when you walked outside, roof. So if it was raining, you could sit out there still. It was absolutely gorgeous place. And like I said, originally they thought this would be the last place they would build. And this is good. But then they decided, hey, they wanted everything on one level. So they built one more and sold that one. I would have loved to have been able to buy that one.
I've never seen.
That was way out of my price range.
I never suspected they made the kind of money that they made. Now I could understand why they didn't care what we ever did. They didn't care how fast we worked or didn't work. They just wanted to know that we were there all the time when we should be, doing something that we should be doing, and just working with the rest of the trades there, completing the projects. We weren't carpenters. We weren't the drywall guys. We weren't any of that. We were just the people who drove around the job site, made sure everything got done.
Yeah. Well, my brother actually
made sure if you ran short of drywall in your house, Larry, we got 10 sheets over to you.
Yeah. Like I said, though, my brother actually helped, put the
Oh.
basement in, and all that good happy stuff.
Well, these guys were.
Now,
So
when it came to pouring
they
the
passed all that.
concrete, they'd bring in the experts. And same thing with electrical. They brought it, but a lot of the other stuff they did themselves.
We had concrete guys, framing guys, sheeting guys, plumbing guys, roofing guys,
Yeah.
carpet guys, kitchen guys, bathroom guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The
Lumber
lodge store
fitters.
company,
My cousin George would have probably been one of the. Well, yeah, he might have been one of the guys you would have working for you.
you know how we build houses, Larry?
Well, my cousin was a construction electrician.
We built them with a clipboard.
Yeah.
We just walked around and checked everything off. The inspections were done.
I didn't work construction. I worked destruction.
Yeah, well, I did demo too.
Destruction. I worked one summer where I went in and tore things out. You got paid for that. We tore the walls out, the carpets out, all that good happy stuff.
I eventually got a job when the business slowed down a little bit. I got a job fixing mistakes on new homes. You wouldn't believe how many mistakes they make.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's a I don't even know what they call the hotel anymore. Back then it was Signature Inn. I'd have to look and see if they changed the name or not. But it used to be a Howard Johnson, if you remember Howard Johnson's.
Sure.
All right. Well, Signature Inn bought the property, and they hired a bunch of us. We were not union workers, but they hired a bunch of us to tear the things out, tear out the carpet, tear out some of the walls and stuff like that.
So they can make their renovations.
Yeah, and so when it came time to do the construction part, they brought in the union guys, so we were let go. The guy said, "Look, I'd love to keep you guys. You're good workers, but the union won't work with anybody that's not union." So when the union guys came in, we left. But we did all the destruction. The union guys did all the construction. So, yeah, I walked. But,
I just had to go out and scratch my eyebrow and look at the house and decide the best way to fix it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it wasn't fix it at all.
Yeah.
I used to talk to the homeowner and say, well, how about if we just cut you a check? They're like, what? Well, if you like this or like that, you can leave it. And I'll give you a check for $800. And my company didn't know I was doing it. When they found out I was doing it, they loved it.
Yeah.
Because I made the problem go away. Another one I used to do was they would build the kitchen, but the window did not line up with the kitchen sink. It was off by like 3 inches on one side or the other and looked stupid. How do you fix that? Well, I go out and sell them a plant window.
A little bit bigger window and put a bigger window in.
You guys pay me $600 and I'll give you a $2,000 window. The window only cost me $800, so my company loved it. They send their guy out, and they're out the door for less than what it was going to cost them to fix it. And I got the homeowner to pay for it, at least part of it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, but he came out with something that looked better. So.
Sure. They got the flower box window that they might have wanted but couldn't afford on their monthly payment.
Yeah.
They used to tell me I was buttering the biscuit. What the hell? Let's do it.
Yeah. I always liked the bay windows myself. But
well, that's the big bay picture front windows. I'm talking the one that's
the bay window sticks out from the house.
Yeah. I'm talking the one behind the sink where you got you can grow herbs or put your medicine and all in the window.
Yes, some of those bay windows, they have that shelf there that you can either, like I was a kid, first time I was around a bay window, I could lay in the bay window.
Or sit on the windowsill and all. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go to sleep, So I always liked the bay window. And then it was a good place you could sit.
You know what's funny? The way I see the Philippines coming together and going together over time, they're going to become more and more like America.
Yeah, but hopefully not as bad as America.
Well, they'll always be different, But I mean, they're going to have more condos, more housing developments, more developed properties. You know, the sweet little girl who lives in the province, like that I met, isn't going to exist.
Oh no, they'll still exist for a long time.
Well, I guess on some of the islands that won't be so developed.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of islands for a long time, and even some of the other islands, they're big enough that some of it won't. Not all of it's going to get developed, and they won't. I don't think they'll let all of it get developed because they're going to want to save their forest to some degree. Hopefully, they'll be smarter than us. Save their forest, and you got people, even people here in the States, don't want to live in the city. They just don't want it. You know, so I think that'll happen as well. So, and like I said, and if it doesn't, by the time it changes over, you and I won't be around anymore.
Well, you know, I've been looking online of Onda, where I'm going to go stay for a month when I go.
Yeah, see,
the resorts in Onda, there's more of them than I ever thought, and it's beautiful.
Like I said, I'm the kind of person that I don't want to be in the province.
Well, I wouldn't want to live the way she lives. She lives in a Napa hut with no refrigeration, can't barely afford electricity, works at the resorts part-time. I don't know why she doesn't develop more into that. Well, but she has to take care of her mother.
The Napa hut would bother me. Now, I want electricity. But the Napa hut, I could probably handle that.
She has electricity, but she can't afford a refrigerator or air conditioning because it'll run her electrical bill up too much.
I'm just saying, no, I could afford that. But that's what I'm saying.
Well, electric's double what it costs here. You could afford it because we're Western, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I could afford
it. A lot more expensive.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm going to tell you right now, I've heard some of the bills over there, and they're talking about how high it is. My bill's just as high here. My electric bill is high here.
Well, you're in New York, too. I get a little break because I'm in Pennsylvania.
I have a one-bedroom apartment. And I pay over $200 a month.
I pay $150 a month.
Yeah. I pay over $200 right now. Last year it was only $150, so they really jumped my rates. Either that or something's gone wrong. I don't use any more electricity. I actually use less. But
a lot of those rates have went up because everything's up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But and of course they all want to blame our president, but you know, we don't live in a communist society.
Well,
we live in a free market society.
A lot of them are blaming the president because of inflation.
It's not fair.
I'm sorry, but the president gets the blame or he gets the credit.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's going to get the blame. And that's all there is to it. When he took office, the interest rates were really low. It went up. Inflation went up 9% or more within his first couple of years. It was only like 1% when he took office. He's getting the blame for that. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. You can disagree or agree. I'm just saying, no. It's like
they're going to blame him for it, but you know he only has so much control.
But it's like I said, it's like the quarterback in football. He gets more credit than he deserves and more blame than he deserves.
Well, isn't that the truth?
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's the same thing. The leader always gets either more credit or more blame. And that's part of the job. And so Biden's popularity sucks. He doesn't even have 40% approval by anybody. He's like, they say this is the lowest approval any president's had since George W. Bush at the end of his second term. This is the lowest approval since then.
Yeah, it is. It's sad.
Yeah. And that's at George W. Bush's second term. This is Biden's first term.
And Trump's approval isn't much better.
Oh, Trump's approval is a lot better. You may not believe it, but it's a lot better than his. Now, there's certain things I think Biden's done better on, but overall, Trump is approval rated much higher than Biden's. Most people give Trump a higher rating on economy, border security. There's a couple other things, and he leads in almost all the swing states right now by it's only like 5% or more. He's picked up this. He's got more black voters than any other Republicans ever had supporting him. More Latino voters supporting him than any other Republican candidate ever. He's got so I mean, look at the polls. The polls are showing that he's got a lot of approval, and because this even CNN, I'm talking about even CNN polls show this. They may not I hate to say that, but that's what it's showing. When they do their polls, it's showing that he's leading, and he's doing a lot better than anybody else has done as a Republican.
Well, it's still early yet, too.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying, right now, you look at it.
Sure.
That's what's going on. Hey, Tim, how you doing, man? And Tim says hi, Mac Daddy.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
But remember, guys, I'll tell Mac Daddy because he's using his phone, I think, and so it's hard for him to see the.
I can't see anybody.
That's what I said. You can't see the chat, so it's just easier for me to tell everybody.
It's easier for me to use the phone because, for whatever reason, if I go the other way, I get too much of a delay.
Yeah. Well, I on my phones I got a little bit of a delay, but you don't because that's what you're using. My phones I'm not using.
I skip my phone through my internet through Wi-Fi.
Yeah, my phones are through the Wi-Fi, but because that's not what I'm broadcasting through, I get the delay on them because I'm broadcasting through my desktop. If I was broadcasting through my phone, then I wouldn't have the delay either on my phone. It's what you're using to broadcast is where you don't get the delay.
I don't know. I got so much to learn about this stuff. Now that I got my eyesight back, though,
yeah, well,
things will be different a little bit.
Like I said, you can start learning about it, and remember, even right before you go, start doing some videos, and then do a lot of videos while you're over there. The places you're going, showing your girlfriend, her family, showing the places you guys go.
Well, I'll catch up with you on a Saturday night, and we can do like a live stream.
Well, yeah, it'll be Sunday morning there.
Well, yes, and
it'll be Sunday morning, 8:00 in the morning.
There's a few things we can do that'll be different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I said, I'll be doing it.
I'll understand what everything's like. I know that.
Now, Tim, I said it's CNN. CNN supports Biden. Fox supports Trump. CNN supports Biden. So
CNN's whatever way the wind blows, Larry.
No. CNN is liberal.
They're liberal, but they're kind of whatever way the wind blows these days. They're walking the tightrope.
Yeah. But like I said, you go CNN and
MSNBC. Now they're definitely Biden supporters. It's going to be interesting. If they had somebody else to elect, Trump would not be elected.
Hey, look, I don't like Trump, and I don't like Biden. I don't like either one of them. But I'm going to vote for one of them because of what I think they're better at than the other one. Now, you give me a viable candidate that's neither one of them, I'll vote for that person.
My problem with Trump is he always was going to do infrastructure week and never had anything. He was going to fix the medical insurance and never did anything. And on the world stage, his war and politics stuff never amounted to anything. So he never really backed anybody or talked about anything. He's an empty bucket. He's an empty drum.
Well, my problem with Biden is he's no good.
Well,
Biden, if I thought RFK had a chance, Junior, if I thought he had a chance, that's who I'd vote for. I might still vote for him. I just don't like either one of them.
I hear you there.
But if I decide to look for the lesser of two evils, I'm going to tell you right now, for me, it's not Biden. He's not the lesser as far as I'm concerned. I don't
No.
like the way I don't like the way he handles the military and stuff like that. I don't like. I'm sorry, guys. I'm pro-military all the way, and I don't think he does a good job with the military. I really don't.
Hard to do. I got to run out the door here, Larry.
That's all right. I think I'll go ahead and end it. We've been going for over 2 hours, almost 2.5. So I'm gonna
I'll
end it here.
catch you during the week. I'll give you a call or something.
All right, and remember, after 5 o'clock's the best time
Yes.
because I'm home, usually home by then. But
I got to run. This just popped up on my computer.
that's what I was hearing then. I
I'll
was wondering. I was looking at my phone to see if it was mine.
Nah, I sent money to the Philippines today, but Western Union's closed and she had an accident on her scooter. She's at the scooter shop and they're having problems getting parts. And I got to figure out how to make this a boy or a girl.
So.
Have a good one.
All right, you too, man. Take care. Catch you next week. All right, everybody. Like I said, we're kind of not too many people in the chat anyway, so I'm going to be shutting it down. I want to thank you all for coming. Crystal, Abby, if you're still here, Tim, Bruce, I want to thank you guys for coming. We had another guy here, but he only made one comment. I hadn't seen him since. That's Robert Robier. So remember, everybody, be kind to each other. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Plus, as always, try to have fun. I'll catch you all next week. Bye.